Now, this week marks a decade since the Labour MP Jo Cox was murdered. Jo was killed on her way to a surgery in her constituency by neo-Nazi Thomas Mair during the Brexit referendum campaign. Today, MPs wore a white rose on their lapels in the House of Commons in her memory and paid tribute to her on the 10th anniversary of her death. Kim Leadbeater, who was elected MP for her sister's seat, is here with me now. Well, Kim, you're doing the job that you didn't want to do, stepping into your sister's shoes. It must have been a very emotional day for you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. I probably am the most reluctant MP there ever was. Much as it is a huge honour and privilege to be a Member of Parliament, it isn't something that I sought out or particularly wanted to do. And you're right, the 10th anniversary of Jo's murder has been extremely tough. I'm a little bit emotionally frazzled because I've done lots of interviews. I've talked about Jo a lot, which I'm very, very happy to do, but it does take its toll personally. But we had a wonderful event today in Speaker's House where we had cross-party MPs coming together. We had wonderful stories about Jo, and everybody's got a Jo story, which is wonderful. It's so heartwarming. So it's wonderful to have the opportunity to talk about Jo and to reflect on her life. But most importantly, we need to reflect on her values and the way that she did politics and the way that she lived her life. And that is the message that I am trying to give this year, is we have to look at the state of our political debate. We have to look at the challenges that our country faces and how we can work together to address those challenges. Because the polarisation, the division that we are seeing in our country is deeply worrying. And I do think it's worse than it was 10 years ago.
Well, and you messaged me the other day about this and how worried you were about the kind of hateful rhetoric we're seeing online and the way social media is sort of whipping things up. Just reflect on that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is partly a political problem. And I'm sure Gillian and Thankam would agree, the abuse that you face as a woman in public life particularly is horrific. It's off the scale. And I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I want to just do my job, but I want to feel safe doing my job. The abuse you've had, Cathy, the horrific abuse you've had as a woman journalist, a broadcaster, doing a fantastic job, is dreadful. Sportswomen, the England female football team, you know. So there's a societal problem for women who put their head above the parapet to represent in their careers, but there is a broader issue with society, and I've said this a couple of times recently. The fact that you go to the doctors and the hospital and there are signs up saying, please be respectful to the staff. You didn't have that when I was growing up. You didn't have to tell people to be nice to each other. You didn't have staff in supermarkets wearing body cameras because of the abuse that they face and the physical assaults that they've been subjected to. So I think we all need to take a step back and think about what do we want our country to look like and what is that vision that we can all get behind whilst being honest about the challenges that we face. And I acknowledge there are challenges.
And does it help to talk, because I decided to talk about some of the death threats? You know, I'm assuming you've faced similar issues since being an MP. Does it help to talk about it?
I think we've got to talk about it. I don't know if it helps or not. It's uncomfortable. And as I say, what I don't want to do, and I know other colleagues have said the same, I don't want people's sympathy. I just want to be able to go to work and do my job and feel safe and be able to speak to people.
Yeah. What do you think, Tanya?
Well, I always used to try not to talk about it.
Well, we're always told not to, aren't we?
You know, but I saw you'd said something recently, Kim, which was about how shocking it is that women MPs, but other women in public life too, have learnt to normalise it, just to try not to think about it, because you want to be able to get on and do your job. I think you're absolutely right to bring up the fact that this happens to an awful lot of women in high-profile jobs, but also women in jobs just being themselves, doing their jobs.
And women who don't have a platform to talk about it, and that's why I decided to talk about it.
And I think you're right.
Gillian, what's your thought on that?
Well, I think it is important to talk about it, but I think the point that Kim made about it affecting many, many more people now. I was ever so struck when I used to go into schools and head teachers would show me the abuse they were getting on email or Facebook pages. You go into the hospital, the CEO of the hospital or the chief medical director would show you the abuse they were getting. And you think, how on earth can they be getting abuse? So it is something which is a change about the discourse, which has really become much more polarised. I don't know whether social media, whether some of the divisions, it's probably a perfect storm of lots of things. But what it is a very, it's a downward trajectory which is affecting everybody's well-being, actually, and everybody's confidence and ability to do the right thing in society, and we have to stop it.
Kim, how does it affect you when you get, knowing what happened to your sister? Do you feel scared?
No, I mean, I don't feel scared, and I'm tough and I'm resilient and I'm strong, as most women who do the sorts of jobs that we do are, because we have to be. But I'm more interested in looking at solutions than thinking about wrapping MPs in cotton wool. Like, that isn't what anybody wants. But like what Gillian's saying there, like, I understand people are angry. I understand people are frustrated. I am really angry about what's happened to my life. I'm absolutely furious. But what I've tried to do is channel that anger into something positive. And when we've seen horrific things happen recently, we have to be honest that there are people who are stoking the anger and stoking the division.
And when you say people, do you mean the social media bosses like Elon Musk, or do you mean other MPs?
I mean, sadly,
Both.
some people in public life. Some people in public life are doing it intentionally. And I think social media clearly has a massive role to play. And we have to push back on that and we have to challenge it, whilst having the difficult conversations about the challenges we face as a country, whether it's the economy or housing or immigration. Yes, we need to have those conversations.
So what would you say to someone like Rupert Lowe, who is, he has the biggest reach of any MP online? What would you say to him? 'Cause
anybody.
He said some pretty, tough things online.
I would say anybody who has got a public platform and an audience, think about what you are saying and think about that in the context of, sadly, my family, Sir David Amos's family, and other families who have experienced horrendous acts of violence, because it only takes one individual who cannot differentiate between violent, aggressive, abusive language and physical violence. And we all have got a duty to think about the consequences of our language and how we treat each other. We are role models in this job. We have to step up to the plate. Whatever the difficult issues are that we are addressing, let's do that respectfully. Let's create time and space to have a proper conversation. And that's where social media doesn't help, because there isn't time in 30 characters or a minute and a half or whatever it is. And when I got elected, people said, oh, do a video, Kim, do a video. And I don't like doing the videos, but 2 minutes. No one can concentrate for longer than 2 minutes these days. Within 2 years, that was down to 45 seconds. Now we're on about 30 seconds. What can you possibly talk about in 30 seconds?
Well, in the few minutes that we have left with you on the sofa, I also want to ask about the assisted dying, the first reading of the new bill, which is the same as the bill that you took through. There's a suggestion that it should be unamended by MPs, so it should go to the Lords, so the Parliament Act could then be used to push it onto the statute book. Would you, as the sponsor of the first private member's bill on it, would you support that?
Look, Lauren, who is taking the bill forward, has got my full support. It will be a tough ride for her because, sadly, there is a huge amount of abuse associated with that issue as well. I was really proud that in the Commons we had a really respectful debate, and I tried to lead on that debate, understanding different perspectives, which I hope I did well. It went to the Lords. Sadly, it fell in the Lords, and it was talked out. People have to be honest about that. There was also a lot of disinformation, misinformation, disingenuousness.
But was it badly drafted, though, as well?
No, it's not badly drafted. We spent literally months on it. So I am passionately pushing back on that sort of narrative that, let's be honest, has come from people who oppose a change in the law, a position I totally respect. But the civil servants in the Department of Health and Social Care, the Ministry of Justice, were outstanding. There are people who write legislation. They wrote the legislation from a position of neutrality from the government. And what's really sad is people in the House of Lords who were not only unelected, and there's a big conversation there about democracy, but were rejected by the electorate, have then decided that terminally ill people should not be able to make that choice in their dying days.
But some of your own side are changing their mind. There are some MPs who backed it who are sort of having second thoughts now. Does that not give you pause?
I haven't had those conversations with people. I do understand that people are feeling overwhelmed with all the issues that we've got to face as a government and as a parliament. But what I would say to those people is, go and speak to the terminally ill people in your constituency who you engaged with before, and MPs did a brilliant job of this. Go and speak to the families who have lost loved ones in really traumatic circumstances, and that will remind you why this issue matters so much.
And you don't think it's constitutionally dubious to use the Parliament Act, which is normally reserved for
You don't use the Parliament Act. You don't use the Parliament Act is a piece of legislation which applies.
Yeah.
So the other thing I would say to people...
But should it not apply in this instance? Because it's usually applied to legislation that's in, manifesto promises.
But why wouldn't it apply? It's a piece of legislation. So all that will happen, the House of Commons, who voted for something, will send it back to the House of Lords, give the peers the time that they've been asking for. That was what they all said. Oh, I'm not against the principle, I just need more time. Well, you can have as much time as you want. You can crack on, you can amend it, you can put changes forward if you want. Charlie Faulkner and I, the sponsor of the bill, we wrote to all peers 3 times, I think it was. Hardly anybody came back to us. We had meetings with some colleagues, and then I saw people saying things in the news, on social media. Oh, we've been stonewalled. No one's listening to us. Utter nonsense. So I would say to all peers, engage with us as the sponsors of the bill, and let's have that conversation.
Do you have a problem with the Parliament Act being applied in this case, Thangham?
I think it's going to be an interesting process if the bill does get amended in the Commons. And Lauren, Edwards, who's the sponsor of the bill this time, has said that she's open to amendments, in which case the Parliament Act doesn't apply if it's amended in the Commons. I think there are bigger questions, and I think we have to look at the bill respectfully. I think there has been some very difficult debate, and there will have been some MPs who will have shifted their views in both directions. I respect, as I think most people do in the House of Lords, maybe not everybody, I think all of us respect the fact that the MPs were elected. We also know that it is our job to revise the bill. If we are being told by medical charities, by disability charities and others that they have concerns, they don't get to stand in the House of Parliament and say them. It's part of our job to raise those concerns. And I look forward to us debating it respectfully if it comes to the House of Lords again, but we'll see.
I mean,
Do you
the
think
problem...
you can get Andy Burnham on board? Because he's sceptical about it and, you know, he's a
Oh,
Catholic
yeah, I mean,
as
I'm
well.
very happy to speak to Andy about it and anybody else about it. But I think what upset me in the House of Lords was, like, we'd spent hours and hours and hours in the Commons. We'd had, I think, over 400 pieces of written evidence. We'd had 50 witnesses. And to be honest, it arrived in the House of Lords and it was like that never happened. And I was saying, you know, I was hearing things being said like, we've done this piece of work. Now, if the two chambers are going to work together, you can't just, like, start from scratch.
But does it tie the hands of an incoming leader that it's going to take a lot of parliamentary time? Is that really what you want if you're an incoming Prime Minister?
Well, it won't take a lot of parliamentary time in the Commons because it will go back to the Lords to finish the job that they started. But also what I would say to whoever is interested is that this issue has got huge public support, Cathy. Everywhere I go, today, every day, people will come up to me and say, thank you for doing this. I lost my dad. This is what happened. I lost my brother, my sister, my mum. This is what happened. Of course, you should give dying people choice.
And just briefly, I mean, are you prepared for a leadership challenge next week? Are you braced for that?
I'm heading to Makerfield tomorrow. We need to get Andy back into Parliament. In true more in common spirit, I get on very well with Andy and Wes and Keir. I'm with whoever said it earlier on. Where are the women? So tonight, Cathy... No.
Yeah, go on. You may as well.
I might as well.
There's going to be a contest.
Let's do it. Let's do it, girls. Where are the women?
On that joyous note, I think we'll leave it there. Kim, thank you very much for coming in, and thank you both, my sofa duo.